Hey everybody, I am Sarah. Welcome back to Overkill Reviews. Before we kick off this review, let us remind you to subscribe. Now, for people who have already donated to us on Patreon, you might be aware that we have album monthly polls where you all pick what you want us to review. And this album that I'm reviewing today is something that scored pretty damn high on those Patreon polls. So we're gonna listen to it. The new album by Savannah Georgia's Black Tusk. It's called T.C.B.T. and it is out today via Season of Mist Records. For those of you who are dying with anticipation, T.C.B.T., it means taking care of Black Tusk. Now for some history on Black Tusk. They formed in 2005 in Savannah, Georgia, and that city, you might not know, is very associated with sludge metal because of bands like Baroness and Kylesa and Demad and Unpersons. The band was very much associated with that scene despite being kind of an odd man out. They're more hardcore punk oriented. I mean, there is the sludge of bands like I Hate God and Buzz Oven, but it's more mixed with DRI. I read this great review of them on Metallum that said they sound like DRI meets Iron Monkey, and I think that that's a really good comparison. Black Tusk has been shockingly prolific. They put out their debut album, Passage Through Purgatory, after releasing a couple demos and EPs, and then they followed up that with a shitload more releases. Sadly, in 2014, they were recording a new album, and their bassist, Jonathan, who's also one of their vocalists, was hit by a driver while driving his motorcycle with his girlfriend. Unfortunately, Jonathan passed away in the hospital from his injuries, but obviously that left a very hard impact on Black Tusk. Although it took a few years after his death, Pillars of Ash came out in 2016, and eventually Black Tusk regrouped and asked a new member to join the band. And that was the former bassist of Kylesa named Corey. Now they have this new album, T.C.B.T. It's their first without contributions from Jonathan, and it's also one that marks a bit of a departure for them, at least in a symbolic sense. There's a lot to unravel here. Multiple listens to T.C.B.T. have been very rewarding. Basically, this album is unfolding in a really nice way, and it's getting better with repeated listens. The two things that I'm noticing the most after 15 listens is that all three members are singing, and that's great, and it's a staple of the band. I'm glad that they continued that trend. And also, the guitar work is deceptive and really fun. You just get super engaged with it. The band is, as per usual, skirting between hardcore, post-hardcore, sludge, the occasional hateful kind, and some thrash. So things are really heavy and constant, but they're definitely going far more into the hardcore punk territory. Here's my favorite song from the record. Oh, I like this song. It's super heavy. The intro starts off really atmospheric and really reminds me of Amivix, who are very important. And then it goes into all these other territories. Altogether, the progressions of the song are really great, and I can imagine a crowd of folks in a mosh pit going absolutely berserk for this. There are numerous bright spots on this record. On the song Ghosts Roam, there's all these parts that are bringing to mind post-hardcore, like Sweden's own Breach, who, please listen to Breach. They have two amazing records that I can't recommend enough, especially It's Me God, even though that's not as popular. And the song actually goes into other territory as well, such as the very similar Botch, when they're in their heaviest moments. So imagine the parts of a punk record where everything gets very, very dense and goes into the melee, the musical melee, and then all of a sudden it feels like the calm before the storm and things explode. That's what happens in this track, and it's super powerful. And because they're utilizing both post-hardcore and hardcore, which both have their own unique way of dealing with atmospheric elements, it ends up feeling like a really fun, unusual take on the genres. Atease is another great track. It's got these great shouted vocal parts from all of the members, and then there's guitars that are just floating above the musical melee, and things are really heavy here. And altogether, this album is short, it's fast, it's very concise at 43 minutes. It's all killer, no filler, unlike Sum 41. Now for the worst parts, because nothing is perfect. The opening track of this album is called A Perfect View of Absolutely Nothing, and it's a spoken word track. And I don't think it's a good way to start the album. It actually was a big letdown for me personally. I know that there's a history and a lineage of spoken word tracks, but unless you're impetigo, get the fuck out of here. Next, we need to talk about the album artwork. It's not particularly engaging. It's big chunky text with a lightning bolt. And while that's something I wouldn't mind seeing in an underpass in a city when I'm going for a walk, it's not really something that I want to see on an album cover. Black Tusk does have a history of having these gorgeous covers. John Baisley did the cover for 2010's Taste the Sin, and Jeremy created the cover for Pillars of Ash. And both of those are gorgeous. They've got elements of Alfonso Mucha, Frank Frazetta, and they look really beautiful. Now, because Black Tusk is moving more into the hardcore realm, which I think that they've always been in, and they've been misappropriated into sludge simply because of where they live, they have this new album cover, which is black and white, very stark. And once you actually start looking at it, there's a face on the album cover, but you don't really notice it immediately. And I think that this was a very strategic choice on behalf of the band. And the reason why I say that is because hardcore punk has a very black and white aesthetic. So if you think of bands like Discharge, or a band like GBH, or Anti-Cymex, or Doom, or this Negative Approach 7-inch, which also has a face on it, albeit a face from a movie, then you can see that hardcore punk likes the stark black and white Xerox style. So from a strategic perspective, I understand why Black Tusk would have gone in this direction instead of going in the lush, beautiful, fanciful John Baisley style.
Do you like it?
No. As I said, I understand why they did it. They're tying themselves into a lineage, but it does nothing for me. Altogether, this was a tough album to review. And it's because I think all of us go through, as music listeners, through stages of music, and a lot of the records that I associated this album with were things that I haven't checked out in a long time, with the exception of Breach and Amoebics, because both of their discographies are amazing. And the more that I listened to the record, the more that I liked it, and it kept on pulling me in, so it makes me kind of think that maybe I just haven't been giving these records enough time lately. Truth be told, this is the first time I've really sat down and forced myself to listen to Black Tusk with a lot of consistency. And the more I listened, the more I liked it. And that means that, yeah, there's something here that I wasn't giving credence to and I should have done a long time ago. So for all those reasons, I'm giving it 4 skulls out of 5 here on Overkill Reviews. Don't forget to subscribe. Head over to BangerTV.com to submit your skull rating and leave your thoughts in the comments. Time for the shout-outs. This week, there's a couple things that I am going to talk about. The first one is a new album by the Queen of Metal herself. Of course, that is Miss Doro Pesch. She has a new album out, and it is called Forever Warriors. If you dig ballads about being in love and really creepy, slightly psychotic tracks called If I Can't Have You, No One Will, that feature death metal vocals and sound like they're written from the perspective of an abuser, then maybe you'll like it. I did not. Other than that, I highly recommend a new demo that is out by a band called Throne of Iron. It is a one-man traditional heavy metal sword and sorcery band, which is so many things that I love. But they have a new demo. It's out on Bandcamp, and I guess I shouldn't call it one man because he also credits his Klaus the Cat for his being cute contributions, which is fucking adorable. Finally, there is a new Toronto band called Rough Spells. They are basically a witch and roll band, and they are killer. They have a new album called Modern Kicks for the Solitary Witch. It's out now on Bandcamp. Thanks for listening, and make sure you check that shit out.